Hello everyone, my greetings to one and all. This is the 15th session on national income estimation. Till now, you have understood various basic concepts to estimate national income. In the last session, you have understood how good GDP is to measure economic welfare. Now we need to switch over to the methods of estimating national income. I am Poonam Vohra from Economics Learning Center. In this session, you will understand how to estimate national income by product method. For that, one has to convert the physical units of output into its monetary terms. So the title is value of output, that is monetary value of physical output. It is required simply because there are a variety of goods and services produced in an economy and with different units of measurement. For example, milk is measured in liters, whereas cloth is measured in meters, or wheat is measured in tons. So it is not possible to add meters with liters with tons. So one needs to convert physical units into its monetary terms and find out the total output in the country. So let us begin. In order to understand the value of output, let's first recall the three phases of circular flow of income. Phase 1 is the generation phase that explains the production of goods and services by the firms with the help of factor services. Phase 2 is the distribution phase and phase 3 is the disposition phase. Right now, the focus is on the first phase, that is generation phase. For estimation of national income at this phase would mean that either the value of only final goods should be added to determine national income, or the contribution of each producing unit in the production process should be included, as each enterprise adds value to the intermediate product. Accordingly, one can estimate national income at generation phase by either final product method or by value added method. Value added method is also known as product method, inventory method, or net output method. Let us begin with final product approach. For this, one needs to find gross value of output, which means to find monetary value of physical output. This can be done when quantity produced is multiplied by its price. Whatever is produced is either sold or unsold, termed as sales and stock. One has to take note of the fact that when entire output is sold, then value of output is equal to sales. But when entire output is not sold, then value of output will be sales plus unsold stock, which is change in stocks. So gross value of output hence is sales plus change in stock, where sales can be quantity multiplied by price, and sales are either goods sold in the domestic territory, that is domestic sales, plus goods sold out of the country, that is exports, and change in stock is closing stock minus opening stock. Let us understand this concept with the help of an illustration. Farmer produces 1 ton of wheat and sells it to the miller for rupees 2000. The miller converts it into flour and sells it to the baker for rupees 2400. The baker converts it into bread and sells it to the consumer for rupees 2700. So in this case, value of output would be 2000 plus 2400 plus 2700, which is 7100. But this is incorrect because it exhibits double counting, where wheat is counted 3 times. One as a final product by the farmer, then by the miller as an intermediate product, and then by the baker as an intermediate product. So intermediate product is considered twice. The value of wheat is considered 3 times. Similarly, the value of flour is considered 2 times. One as a final product by the miller, and secondly as an intermediate product by the baker. So there is double counting of wheat as well as flour. Both are counted more than once. So what exactly is double counting? It refers to counting of an output more than once while passing through various phases of production. Here the value of intermediate goods gets included along with the final good. Referring to the previous example, wheat is a final good for a farmer but an intermediate for a miller, whereas flour is a final good for miller but an intermediate for a baker. So any good can either be intermediate or final depending upon its end use, as is evident from the example. Let us understand a little bit more about intermediate consumption. It is the value of non-factor inputs which lose identity during the production process. For example, wheat when converted into flour, or when converted into bread later on, or flour or raw material when converted into finished good. Now these non-factor inputs can be purchased from within the country or from outside the country. Hence, intermediate consumption comprises of domestic purchases and imports. Now try to understand. In a question, if information is given as intermediate consumption, some value, here it is 1500, and imports, some value, rupees 700 is given here. So imports will not be considered as a part of intermediate consumption simply because when we talk of intermediate consumption, it includes both domestic purchases as well as imports. So imports are then not to be included. In that case, intermediate consumption would be 1500 as is given. But if information given is purchases from domestic firms 2000 or any other value, and imports any value or 800 in this case, then both needs to be added. Then it will be 2800. Simply because here domestic firms is given. So imports need to be added to purchases from domestic firms to get intermediate consumption. I hope I've made the point clear. Now assess yourself. A piece of information is being given. Read it and answer the questions. I will read it for you. The industry means a group of enterprises producing products that are close substitutes of each other. A shirt is manufactured from any fabric and yarn. Yarn and fabric can be manufactured from cotton, jute, silk, wool, synthetic fibers, and synthetic filaments. All units producing yarn or fabric cannot be said to constitute the textile industry because the products of these units are not homogeneous and therefore cannot be the close substitutes of each other. Also, the yarn could be used in weaving cloth, producing knitwear, or used as sewing thread in producing garments. The questions are: A. Identify the intermediate products of manufacturing a shirt. And B. What comprises of a textile industry? Please check your answer. Intermediate products are yarn, sewing thread, fabric, and raw material which can either be cotton, silk, jute, wool, synthetic fiber or synthetic filament. And the textile industry is defined as units producing yarn from cotton, jute, silk, wool, synthetic fiber and synthetic filaments, fabrics from cotton, jute, silk, wool, synthetic fibers and filaments, and garments from any of these fabrics made from such yarn or fabric. I hope you have understood value of output and how intermediate consumption leads to double counting. With this, the session comes to an end. In the next session, you will understand how intermediate consumption needs to be deducted to avoid double counting. So the focus would be on value added method. Till then, keep reading and keep practicing.